from a legal perspective, in terms of native advertising, the key is transparency and trust, right? You want to make sure that your consumer understands that it's an ad and that they know that before they start engaging in your content. It's actually really easy. I have to keep in mind that I'm a consumer as much as you're a consumer. And so think about how you engage in content. You read it top to bottom, right? So you want to make sure that you're making your disclosure at the top and not at the bottom. You want to make sure if you're watching a video that you put it in that first second, right? The second that probably nobody is really engaging with anyway. Well, get your brand up there in the first place, and then you can do whatever you want with your content. Early is always better, and then you're on the up and up with the law. At Visa, we teach our clients that organic disclosures are just as good as very stilted disclosures. So if we're dealing with, say, a video influencer, right, they can come right out and they can say, hey, I've teamed up with Visa and we're bringing you this great thing. They don't have to say, hi, this is an advertisement for Visa. We think that consumers are more competent than that. We think that they really understand an organic disclosure, and we think that it's just as authentic, and it works very well for us. I don't think that the issue of transparency is all that complicated. I do think it's strange that a brand wouldn't want their brand up front, right? The whole point of putting content out there is, I would assume, to get some value for your brand. And so it's not just a legal obligation to disclose that it's a brand talking. It has everything to do with getting your brand out there in front. You want to do this. I don't think that we're actually talking past each other. I think it sometimes just feels that way because when you see legal requirement, you think, oh, this must not be authentic or interesting. No, it is, and it's good for everyone. Really, you're building trust in your brand by being authentic and transparent. The future of legal issues with native advertising is going to be keeping up with the changing mediums. So as the mediums change and we have figured out how to accurately and adequately disclose in old mediums, it's going to be figuring out, okay, well, what's the best thing to work? What's best in Snapchat? What's best in a Facebook Live feed, and how do we accomplish that? And so right now, as we're moving into that, you see really interesting things. So for instance, a Snapchat filter, the first second actually does say sponsored, but then it goes away so that when you snap a cute picture with your X-Men frame, you don't see the word sponsored, but I saw it as a consumer. And so that's very smart. Facebook Live, you see a lot of really interesting partners that are doing sort of a branded window around the content. And so you still get the brand in there, but you can post live. We did really interesting content for the Olympics with that kind of thing, and we got our disclosure in there. So I think for the future, it's how do you keep up with the changing medium and still adapt to get that transparent disclosure. The pitfall is thinking that if you put something at the bottom, you've done your job, right? The key to remembering your disclosure obligation is before you engage in the content. And that's a really easy thing to miss because the general notion is, oh, as long as I have it down at the bottom, like in a disclaimer, that's the same, right? And the message is clear from the regulators that that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about get it up front, make it clear, make it understandable. The shift right now also is kids, you have to be at an even higher standard, right? Kids don't understand presented by. They really only understand the word, this is an ad. And so you're seeing a lot of attention paid to that. And I think if you're dealing with kids, just say ad. Influencers are a great example of what makes advertising and native advertising tricky. When you control the content, when a brand controls the content, we have a lot more levers on making sure that we've got a disclosure. As soon as that obligation is actually in the hands of somebody else, it becomes a little bit trickier. And so you have to partner closely with who you're working with. If you're working with an influencer or with a publisher, to set expectations and say, hi, I have this obligation as a brand, but so do you as a publisher, and so do you as an influencer. We're all in this game together, and we all have a legal obligation to disclose the connection between us. So let's just decide how we want to do that, and everybody is happy. And so as long as you have that conversation up front with an influencer about how you can do it, the ways you can do it, there's a lot of different options you can give them. I find that works best. And then the other brand pitfall is to not monitor. You have to monitor. You have to check and see what your influencers are doing because somebody else is definitely monitoring and they're not the folks you would like to come knocking at your door. So monitor. I would say that good advice is always to bring in your legal team early, right? We're here to partner with a brand, we're here to partner with a publisher, and we are actually excited and eager to talk about new ideas and ways to disclose, right? We aren't as creative, but we're definitely open-minded, and I would love for people to remember that we're trying to help. We want to accomplish the same goals that our marketers do.